that's sometimes a really tough decision. Like that is a really tough pursuit. And I know we were talking a little bit about the fears and having the faith. Did this financial aspect come into that, some of that decision making? I'm assuming it did, but like, because our Better Than Rich show is life beyond the money, but at the same time, oftentimes people need to have the money to kind of also feel like there's life beyond the money. So it seems like there's some unspoken there that I would love to try to peel back if possible, of like,
Yeah.
what were those moments of like, shit, we're gonna have ramen tonight because we're broke, or I don't know if that existed when
Yeah.
there's no sponsors or like a doubt or any of that stuff. And then I'll kick it to
No,
Andrew.
great questions. When the first half of my career, I don't know how to describe my career, because it was like through 2008, then there was a gap, and then I came back. And so through 2008, I was set up pretty well with apparel companies, and I had sponsorships. So I was getting like, a normal salary, we'll say. And as long as I was qualifying to world teams and things like that, I would keep my salary. If I didn't, it would get cut really dramatically, but I was able to sustain that through that whole period. But when I came back, that was a whole other story. And so we're trying to finance this. And my husband, he had changed jobs and had worked for a nonprofit, and then that dissolved. And so he was kind of at home for a while with the kids. Then he was working part-time so that I could train. And so we were trying to figure out how to make it work. And we were also in the middle of adopting our fourth child from Ethiopia, which had a whole other host of issues, financial, mental, emotional, all of them. And so we had to sell our house, and we had to downsize to a house about half the size, and bringing another kid home into that house. And so that was a struggle. Then I'm having like massive mom guilt that like I am taking all these opportunities away from my kids and my husband because I'm selfishly pursuing this thing. Like, why are we doing this? But I felt very called to do it. So there was this massive like internal struggle, but God constantly reminded me and showed me like, this is the path that you're on. This is where I want you, and I was like, I don't know why you want me back in the pool, but like he just kept making it very, very obvious. So it's like, I don't get it, but I have to follow the path that I know that's laid out for me. And so it was really hard, especially with the mom guilt this time around. I think that was worse because when it's just you're like, whatever, I'll eat the ramen. Like, I don't care. I want this thing to happen. I'll find a way to make it happen. When it's your kids, you're like, I don't want them to eat the ramen. I want them to have all the things. I want them to have their own room. I don't want them to have to share rooms and all these things. And it's just, it's a hard boat. But when you really believe in what you're doing and what you're called to do, like, you've got to follow that path. Otherwise, you'll always ask what if. You'll always have a different kind of guilt that you'll never be able to shake because you just didn't do the thing. And so you'll never know. And I've always been of that mind of like, I would rather try and fail miserably than to always ask, what if? Could I have? Like, that to me would be more torture for the rest of my life than going and failing miserably.
You're a gift to my life, Laura. I just I just want to say, listener, you're just getting the goods. Biggs, let me kick it to you. I'm just in awe. Yeah.
There's been so many like so many little one-liners that you've given that are just like, we're gonna clip out. You're gonna see them on YouTube and Instagram and all those things. So because there's just some really good life lessons that you're pulling through. I really am curious about family life. You mentioned you adopted your fourth kid, you downsized. There's a lot going on there. Mom guilt is something we actually just had a conversation with Kathy Kristen on the podcast, which obviously Mike and I can't relate to, but our wives can. And I'm just really curious about this concept of mom guilt. But I have one more Olympic question. Okay. And I'm going to ask you maybe a little bit more of a controversial one. What are your thoughts on Simone Biles and the controversy surrounding her choices at the last Olympics? Do you have a take there? What would you say? No filter, pure Laura. Give it to us. What's your take on this?
It's a couple of things. Like, I totally understand what she went through. Like, they called it the twisties. Like, we've always called it getting lost, because I've actually done that just in regular flipping. Like, I was spotting the ceiling instead of the water. So getting lost is terrifying, and it takes time sometimes to get through that, to figure out how to fix it. And so it's terrifying when you're doing a sport like gymnastics, where you could literally break your neck, and that's like the end of not just your career but your life. I get her decisions. I think they were totally justified. She was in the practice gym trying to get through that and was struggling. So I think they made a smart call for her safety and her well-being. I think in the press conferences, she used a bunch of buzzwords and didn't handle it as well. But granted, I can't imagine walking through that and having all that pressure that she probably had with what she's done, what she was expected to do, and trying to handle that. She tried to handle it very gracefully, but I think her saying, "I'm just not happy," came off really, really bad. And I think she was just trying to soften it without explaining it fully. But I think that's kind of where a lot of people got really upset. And I don't think that's why she made the decision. It wasn't, they say mental health, but it was really for her safety and her protection. And I think if she had just said that, there would have been no controversy. I think everybody would have understood that. But I think she was trying to downplay it because she's Simone Biles and she's amazing. And she wants to continue having people think that way. So, I'm not sure if somebody coached her to say that or if it just came out weird. But I think she just didn't present it well, and that's where all of the drama came from. But I think she was totally justified in the decision that she did make. I think it was smart. Loved seeing her come back and just do a different dismount on beam and able to do everything on beam and get a bronze medal. Like, I thought that was pretty cool. So I kind of saw the whole thing. Like, I get it. And I think when everything's on the media around the world, it just blows up. What could have just been some normal whatever issue at a normal meet, when it's at the Olympics and you're a prolific athlete, like, you're going to get all the fallback from that. So